Hello students, how are you all? I welcome you all to our YouTube channel, that is One Page Biology. In today's video, we are going to discuss a very important and interesting topic. The name of the topic is Introduction to Biological Classification. So, dear students, this particular topic, as you all know, is from the chapter Biological Classification, which is chapter number 2 of 11th standard NCERT Biology. So let us understand the introduction behind the biological classification. So dear students, you all must be wondering that who exactly started the classification. So there must be a question in your mind that how did this classification of organisms start? So let me tell you that the very first scientist, or we can also call a great Greek philosopher, his name was the great Aristotle. So dear students, Aristotle was the first one to actually start the system of classification. He was the earliest one to do the classification, and in his classification he classified the humans based on food, clothing and shelter. So of course, during his era, when absolutely there was no development in the field of science and technology, and neither research was very much advanced at that time, the kind of classification which he did was a very simpler classification, and that's why he considered simpler components like food, what kind of food the human groups are using, or what kind of clothing they are wearing, and depending on the kind of the shelter they are using for their livelihood, he tried to classify the humans. At the same time, he also classified plants into three different categories, which were nothing but trees, shrubs and herbs. So you all may wonder that what kind of classification is this. So let me tell you that Aristotle had done this classification based on the morphological characters. So dear students, what do you understand by the word morphology? So morphology actually means the external characteristics of the particular organism. So when we talk about the external characteristics, it can include factors like the height of the plant, or even the shape of the leaves, or the color of the leaves. So these are all the external features of a particular plant, and based on these morphological characters, he had classified the plants into three basic groups. These were nothing but trees, shrubs and herbs. Likewise, Aristotle also did the classification of animals. So the classification of animals was done based on the presence of RBCs. So dear students, do you all know what are RBCs? If you know them, please mention them in the comments. You can also mention the functions of RBCs in the comment section. So meanwhile, coming back to the topic, so Aristotle also did the classification of animals based on the presence of RBCs. So what he did was he made two groups of animals, one which had RBCs and the other which did not have RBCs. The next scientist who tried to do the classification was Carolus Linnaeus. Dear students, you all know about Carolus Linnaeus. He is also known as the father of binomial nomenclature. Now, Carolus Linnaeus did the classification of organisms into two basic groups. That is, he classified the entire group of organisms into two groups. Those were nothing but plants and animals, and he called those groups as Plantae and Animalia. Now dear students, the problem with classification which was made by Aristotle, or whether it was made by Carolus Linnaeus, was it did not consider some of the important factors which were necessary. Now what was those factors? The factors were cell structure, cell wall, nutrition, habitat, evolutionary relationship, reproduction. So if you try and understand, like all these factors, whether the cell structure, like what kind of cell the shapes of the cells are, or rather what kind of the cell wall it is made up of, whether it is made up of peptidoglycans or whether it is made up of proteins or lipids, what kind of nutrition the cell undergoes, whether it is autotrophic or it is heterotrophic, then what kind of habitat the organism stays in, whether it is terrestrial or whether it is aquatic, evolutionary relationship, what kind of similarities does it show to other organisms, as well as what kind of reproduction it shows, whether it is showing sexual reproduction or asexual reproduction. So these factors were basically not considered by Aristotle or Carolus Linnaeus. But of course, one of the reasons why they must have not considered these factors was that time the science was not that developed, or you can also say that research was not that advanced. So there was a need for a much better classification in which these factors need to be considered. So dear students, finally in the year 1969, there was a great scientist whose name was Robert Harding Whittaker. Now Robert Harding Whittaker came out with a 5-kingdom classification system. In his 5-kingdom classification, there were 5 kingdoms, and those were nothing but Kingdom Monera, Kingdom Protista, Kingdom Fungi, Kingdom Plantae and Kingdom Animalia. In these 5 kingdoms, he placed different types of organisms and he considered different factors before making this classification, like the cell structure, the cell shape, as well as what kind of nutrition it has, or the habitat, the evolutionary relationship, as well as the reproductive characteristics. And that's why, dear students, till date this classification system is being studied across the world. So in this particular video, we have understood the introduction to biological classification. Dear students, in the next video we will understand what are the features which were considered before making this 5-kingdom classification, and we will also try and understand one of the kingdoms of this classification. If you have any doubt, dear students, do let me know in the comment section. Till that time, take care of yourself. Thank you so much.